Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody is happy and healthy and doing well. So those of you who watched my non-invasive continuous glucose monitoring video may recall that we talked about a company called Rockley Photonics. This is the company that is working on a multi-wavelength chip to measure multiple biomarkers. Well, time has passed and we now have some additional information about them that I wanted to share with you. It's not all good, but you should obviously be aware of it as you have an interest in this matter. So, for starters, Rockley filed for Chapter 11 reorganization on January 23rd of 2023. They did that to reduce their debt. It's supposedly a pre-packaged, pre-negotiated bankruptcy. They'd like to reduce some 120 million of debt that they have and convert it presumably into equity to be able to move on. We'll see how it plays out. As part of that, they replaced their then CEO with the CFO, who is now the CEO, of course, which makes a lot of sense given that this is a financial transaction. And as part of that, they were also delisted from the New York Stock Exchange. Now, the New York Stock Exchange was already unhappy with them because they were basically a penny stock, and the exchange doesn't see itself as a penny stock exchange necessarily, but the Chapter 11 sort of sealed the deal and they were kicked out, unfortunately. And so, as part of that, they also announced a new offering and a new product development timeline. And so we're going to cover both. The product they announced at the Consumer Electronics Show is called BioPTX. It's a chip that can measure 6 different biomarkers, including hydration, body temperature, heart rate variability, respiratory rate, and blood oxygen. Now, those of you who follow this channel and who follow the wearables market will immediately see that there is nothing to write home about here. It's not terribly excited. This chip doesn't really measure anything that other wearables don't already measure. And so, for it to be successful in the market and to be taken up by wearables manufacturers, it would either have to be significantly more accurate than existing technologies or significantly more energy efficient. And we don't know anything about that because they haven't released any information to that effect. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. But clearly, between this chip being not terribly exciting in terms of which biomarkers it measures and the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, I guess we'll just see how excited wearables manufacturers are about taking it on board and using it. Now, the second thing that I mentioned was the revised release plan for future chips, and that too is quite frankly rather disappointing. They now plan to launch a chip to measure blood pressure in the second half of 2024, so pretty far away, and blood glucose in Q1 2025. So once again, these are both significant changes in terms of pushing out both of those dates significantly out in the future. We obviously have no insight in terms of how their R&D has been progressing. Without any doubt, the Chapter 11 filing and the financial difficulties leading up to it clearly must have had something to do with that. They seem to have been reducing costs, and that might very well have impacted R&D as well. The other thing about this product timeline that they've released, that it is obviously very uncertain given that Chapter 11 process and how it progresses and their funding situation, which is obviously very much dependent on that. So hopefully they will get through it, and hopefully at the other end of it, they will release a revised product launch plan, and then we'll have to see how that plays out and what it says and how much resources they're going to have. So in conclusion, I think if they manage to get through this Chapter 11, reorganization, reduce their debt, convert that into equity. Hopefully that will provide for a better and more sustainable long-term financial situation to them. And that should obviously be favorable. In the short term, however, as you've heard, I have questions about the product that they've released and its viability. And of course, there is tremendous uncertainty around the whole Chapter 11 reorganization, although it's prearranged, pre-packaged, so to speak. Nonetheless, it has to progress through the courts. The courts have to agree to it, and that certainly is bound to impede what they do in the short term and product development and things like this. So we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully they get through it quickly. And then at the other end, we'll just have to see sort of what their financial situation is. And hopefully, as I mentioned, they will release a follow-up product launch plan, and we'll take it from there. So that's it. I will stay on top of this and bring you updates periodically, I believe. I hope. And in the meantime, I hope everybody is well. Take good care of yourself, and we'll talk to you soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.